Hey, welcome into Knit Habits. So glad that any of you are returning. That's absolutely wonderful, and I hope you can come and spend a little bit of time with me today. Today is the 3rd of June, 2023, and I do have some updates for you as far as some finished objects, some projects that are on let's just say they're in timeout at the moment. Thinking through the process on that, some things that I'm not sure I want to make from the last one, and some new cast-ons, and a finished object that I cast on in between recording. So thank you for coming back, and if anybody's new, welcome. I'm excited to have you here with me. And if you want to find me on Ravelry, I am xtina yarny. And on Instagram, I am xtina_knitta, K-N-I-T-T-A-H. So I do have some finished objects today. I have some new cast-ons, like I was saying, and I also have some things we'll talk about as far as I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these projects. So we're going to have a lot to cover today, so we'll get going on that. And so the first finished object I have for you is the one that I am wearing. It is the Montpellier top that I made out of the Tykk Laine in the Sandnes garn. So that one is the pattern by Annie Fiskum Sunde. And it's 53% cotton, 33% rayon, and 14% linen. So let me stand up so I can show it to you. Go. Edge here. So as you can see, there are some lines on the front of it. One of the skeins of yarn was lighter than the others, which I didn't notice until I had probably knit about 3 inches on it, then noticed that there was a huge difference in color, very disparate on there. So then I started doing helical knitting. It's still noticeable, but really, to be honest with you, wearing it with a pair of jeans in the summer, I'm not terribly worried about it, but you can see the detail that was along the edge and then on the shoulder part right here. So this is actually the first time I've worn it since I made it and blocked it. I have been wanting to save it until I got to wear it on here, but I think it's definitely going to be a nice staple. You can see my dog Fred there. So a nice staple to wear in the summer, I think, and looking forward to having this in my wardrobe for the rest of the time. Nice construction. You start it in the back at first, and you knit, so part of the way down, and then you pick it up, knit the front part, and then you then you separate for sleeves, or not sleeves actually, and then you separate for the armhole, and you continue that pattern that I showed you on the side the rest of the way down. Do the ribbing. It's supposed to have an Italian bind off on it, which I did not do. I started that and just thought, this is for me personally. If you want to do that, knock yourself out. Maybe I'll do it on another one, but I just thought it was a little too complicated, so I just did a regular bind off on it. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm not unhappy with the bind off on it. And then you pick up the neckline and you do some ribbing there. And again, I just did a regular bind off on that as well. My other finished object is by Andrea Mowry. It is a hat called Tincture, and I know she had a different hat for her knit along, but I decided I wanted to make Tincture since I had the yarn for it. It's been one that's been in my queue for a while, and I thought, well, I'll join the knit along in spirit, even though I'm not making the same hat that she had for the knit along. So I made it out of this yarn. It's called, let's see if I can get that to go here. There it is. Acadia Untamed Wilderness, the fiber company. And there you go. It is 60% merino, 20% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 50 grams, 145 yards. There you go. I have 15.26 grams left after making the hat of this color. This is the colorway Kelp. And then the other color that I used here and there. And I have 19.07 grams of this one left. This is called Bog. And it's more blue than it's coming out on there. But here is the hat. I haven't blocked it, but I generally don't block hats. There it is. And then there is the top of it. So it's going to be a nice slouchy hat. I'm looking forward to having this one. I had a hat that I made out of Rauma that I lost this February when we went to Washington, D.C. So I needed a new hat, so I decided to get this one going. So yeah, that's about that. Looking forward to wearing that one. Now to talk about some of the projects that I had going on my last video. Let's see, I have a bag. Here we go. So I did start the plumeria. Got going on that one. So that's the yarn that I decided to use. It was the one by the Wicked Knitta. And there is her tag. And that one was the Tahitian Sunset in the 100% Blue Face Leicester that I discussed last time. So I started it and I got the I-cord straps done. I got done to where I was starting to connect all 4 of the pieces for the top part and for the armholes. And I discovered that it was going to be way, way too big. And so I decided that that was not going to work. So I pulled the entire thing out. And now all I have of it, currently it's in pieces, are 4 I-cords. And there you go. And a little tiny bit of the top part, one of the parts for the top triangles. And since then it's been sitting there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. It may end up being not that. It may end up being that top. I'm not sure. So currently it's not giving me any joy to be knitting. So it's going to sit there for a while. And so that's that on that one. Not the yarn, it's not the pattern, it's just, I think maybe it's not the right yarn for the pattern. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So anyway, beautiful yarn. That's where that's at. The green cress that I am making, I still want to do, I just haven't given it much love. With the cables on that one, it takes more concentration. It's in a book instead of on my iPad in Knit Companion. It's not one I can do kind of during the day or watching TV. You know, I can do it, but while I'm watching TV, but it takes more concentration. So it hasn't got a ton of love. It's gotten a little bit bigger. Here you go. I have added some of the cables. Let me get that out of the way. I have added to it. I think last time it was like down here. So I have added to it. Just is bigger. It just doesn't look much different than the last time and hasn't gotten a lot of love. Again, I'm making that out of the Sirdar Cashmerino, and it is the 75% extra fine merino wool, 20% silk, and 5% cashmere in the colorway Polished Copper. Yeah. So that's the story on those two since I last podcast. The other one, the one that's kind of taken my mojo for a while, is the Big Comfort or Big Comfy Cozy by Andrea Mowry. And the body part's done. It's blocked. Here it is. It's gorgeous. There you go for the pattern detail. It's beautiful. It is 30 inches wide, like it's supposed to be. However, the length is supposed to be like 49 inches, and mine is like 60 something, so it's enormous. I did do a gauge swatch on it. I actually did my gauge swatch with the wrong size needle, not the one it calls for. And I thought, well, if I go, because I had too many stitches, so I thought, well, if I go down a needle size to the actual size needle that it's supposed to be at, which I believe is a 3.5, I should be fine. My gauge is way off. Looking at the gauge that I got, which I don't remember off the top of my head at the moment, and how big it is. I mean, if I was to put it together like it was supposed to, it was still hanging well off my arms, and I'm 5'7". I'm not a short person, so it would have been enormous. So it's just been sitting there. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I think that if I wanted to get gauge with it, I would probably have to go down to a 2.75. And to be honest with you, taking out all this yarn and re-knitting it with a 2.75 needle, I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me. It's a beautiful pattern. I still would love the pattern, but I have a feeling that this is not the right yarn for that pattern. So it's been sitting there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. We'll see. It might just live as a really gorgeous wrap. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I want to do with it right now. So that is the update on Andrea Mowry's Big Cozy Cardi. So that's where that is. So what have I been doing other than the hat and that? And the Montpellier. Well, I have been working on trying to find the bag that it's in. The Lovely Tea by Kimberly McAlindin. And hold on, I need to get the tag. All right, so I'm back. So the Lovely Tea by Kimberly McAlindin, I'll put a picture up for you, is being knit in the Tykk Laine by Sandnes Garn, which is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. There you go. That's upside down. Great podcasting. There you go. I'm not sure what the colorway is. Let's see here. It is number 4234. So, here you go. I mean, it's going to be kind of tight. It's on the needles. That is the back of it. Here you go with the front. There you go. And this is where the sleeves are, right here, where it's kind of all bumpily right here. And so on the collar, helps if you read the pattern, right? I mean, in all vulnerability, here we are. So I did the 4-inch repeat for the collar. You're supposed to do it for 1 inch. I did it once. So there you go. That's it right there. It's a cute little pattern, and I just didn't read it, and I got to, I don't know, here on the sleeve, and I decided I'm not pulling it out. It's just going to be the way that it is. So right now it's just knitting on here, and not really much to show. It's supposed to be, I think, like, I don't know, it's a paid for pattern, a certain amount of inches. I'm not quite there. I think I have to add like 2 or 3 inches more, and then I'll separate for the sleeves. So, but I think it's going to be a really lovely summer pattern. I love the color. So yeah, so that is that. The lovely tee is being knit on a US 4 3.5 millimeter needle. There you go. So I think it'll be a nice summer top, again, to go with anything. So that has been getting some love. That yarn, in my loss of knitting mojo, that yarn was going to be this top when I purchased it from the knitting place last year. Then I decided I didn't want to knit that because the sleeve top looked really complicated, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do the Uptown tee. I started that. I pulled it out. I think I started it and pulled it out. I think 3 or 4 times. Finally, I said, never mind. It's going to be what it's going to be. Started it, pulled it out 2 or 3 times. So when I didn't knit that one part for an inch, I thought, just it's going to be what it's going to be, and that's going to be that. And I know that there's probably a lot of you out there that probably are cringing and saying that you probably would have pulled it out, and hey, more power to you. It just doesn't matter to me. It's going to be beautiful either way. So that is going to be that. That is living in my naughty knitting sack, my Doctor Who one. There you go. And yeah, I'm sure it'll have to get in a bigger bag as it grows, but it's not there yet. So the other whip that I have currently is hold on, I gotta find what the name of it is. It is called the Italian Summer Scarf by the Italian Knitter. It is being knit in Laine, Riva, in the colorway 936. There you go. And it is cotton and acrylic. It's actually fairly soft. So yeah. And here it is. There you go. This is, yeah, there you go. That's the right side. It's not coming up really well on here. Oh, there you go. Now you can see the eyelets a little bit better without the wall behind it. But it just kind of changes colors and has the little eyelets and this eye cord along the edge. And you just start it down here. That's my little stitch marker to show me the right side. And so what you do is, I have 3 balls of this. So you knit it until you're about maybe a little bit less than halfway done with your yarn, and then you start the decreases. So you can make it as long or short as you want, I guess. But it's just one of those things that's real easy to knit during, potato chippy. You just have to remember the pattern where the eyelet is. Other than that, it tells you in the pattern how many garter ridges to knit. Again, it's a paid for pattern, but I think this will be a really fun piece, and I love those colors. You can kind of wear it with anything. Purples and blues and gray and kind of a corally color. So there's that. The other thing that I'm working on is the Insta Slip Cowl by SweaterFreak. And I have had this yarn forever. I bought it to do socks with for a sock course back in 2020, actually. And I didn't do the course. I haven't used the yarn. It has literally been living in this bag since the pandemic. So, and it is in Rauma. Here you go. And it is these two colors. So I have and it doesn't really have, it just has color numbers, which I'll have listed below. So I have this white one here, just white. And then I have this one. There you go. Which is a really pretty pumpkin-y color. There you go. And here is what I have so far. Yep. The garter side and then that side. And very easy pattern so far to remember. Slip stitches on this side, garter on that side, increases. And then when you get a certain amount of stitches on here, obviously between these 2 points, then you join in the round, and I haven't got there yet. So I've been working on that one a little bit. And this one is also living in one of my naughty knitting sacks. And like I said, this yarn has been living in this bag since 2020. And I thought, okay, you got to get this yarn, got to make it into something. So it's in this bag here. And by Naughty Knitting Sacks. And this one is naughty, so if you're going to be squeamish, turn around. It has girly parts on it. I think it's fun. Anyway, so that is the Insta Slip Cowl by SweaterFreak, and it's just 100% wool by Rauma. And the 2 numbers are, let's see here, 434, and I don't know which one is which, and 401. So there you go. And it's just yarn that I had, and decided to go ahead and make it. So there's that. The last thing that I started is I just started this recently. I did the swatch for it, which I don't have with me because I'm a great podcaster. And it is the Bluegrass shawl by Wool and Pine. And it's all brioche. And I've done a little bit of brioche. So if I show you here, I mean, a little tiny bit. This is the Shawlography by Stephen West, where I did, I mean, this is my only real attempt at brioche, is this little tiny bit here. That's it. So I've never really done a lot of brioche. I can put links for this down below, but this is the mystery knit along, the Shawlography with the shrimps from Stephen West. So fun. I love these colors. I actually wore this to Rhinebeck. So yeah, anyway. So that's the only little bit of brioche, and I really want to learn how to do brioche better. And so I thought, well, you know what? That is a great pattern to do with all of the little bits and bobs, and I will show you all of the little pieces of, well, not all of them, but how much I have of like minis and leftovers of yarn. And I thought, well, what a great thing to start on. And again, in true vulnerability, right? Like, I'll just be honest. I have pulled this out. I can't tell you how many times. I did the swatch. It turned out fine. It's about this big. And then I started it and pulled it out, started it and pulled it out, and I got about that far on it last night. Noticed this morning that there was a big mistake on it, pulled it out. So this is all I have so far on that. There you go. That's it. And this is just going to be in a bunch of leftover yarn this is it, my Mrs. Brown bag with all my various pins on it. Just a bunch of different yarns that I have from different projects. This one is one of the ones that's in the Shawlography that I just showed. So these are the leftovers and minis that I have. This is one of the leftovers from the 22 cowl from the last podcast. And just in there is just a whole bunch of minis and extras that I have. And so I figured I would just use that. I mean, I have minis from the Crafty Toads in here that I haven't used. This is, I couldn't even tell you, they're Halloween at the Hollows mini skein set. So I have, sorry for the crinkling, I have a bunch of just random stuff, random yarn in this bag, just a bunch of leftovers. So figured I had some stuff to use up, some stuff to practice brioche on, and at the end, hopefully I end up with a cute little shawl, and a great way to use up leftovers. And it just, with kind of, I've never really lost my knitting mojo. So this has kind of been the first time that that's happened. And, lots of starts and stops, and you just kind of get a little bit frustrated and honestly kind of, I hate to say it, I really do, but kind of bored with the projects that I was starting and ending and just not really going anywhere. So I'm hoping that this is enough of a challenge to kind of get me back in there. And I know I wish I had more to show. I had more and then I ripped it all out. So there you go. Just this little bit. This green I think is from Treehouse Knits. And then this color here, this white color, is, I believe, from the Wicked Knitta. Yeah, it is. It's one of a kind yarn that she had. I used it in my Miss May shawl, which is this one. This one right here. I used it in that one. It is this yarn here that I used in my Miss May shawl. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart that I did as a mystery knit along. So that is all of the knitting that I have for you so far. And that's part of why I haven't really been podcasting, is I just kept running into blocks and starting things and then not finishing them, and just not really being sure what I wanted to do. And so, and just I ran into some health issues that came up in the last month for myself. Nothing major, just things that I needed to change, hurt my back. And so just some things. And so hopefully I will be on a more regular basis, because I'd really like to, again, build a community with you guys. As a reminder, I do have my, sorry to hit the camera. I do have my email address, which is knithabits@gmail.com. If you guys would like to send me pictures of your finished objects, I would really love to be able to spotlight them. If you're nervous about sending me your email, I'm not going to do anything with it. I don't need to use it. I can just share maybe your first name, the project you have, and the yarn that you use. So if you're nervous, that I get that. I'm new at this. You may not want to do that, but I would really like to be able to show off what everybody else is doing as well. What have I been reading and watching? Well, watching nothing super exciting. I did watch the new Bridgerton, the Queen Charlotte, which I think a lot of people have watched. I thought it was fabulous. Totally cried at the end. The depiction of mental illness in it, somewhat accurate, and definitely the way that they treated it was probably accurate for the times, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed it. Of course, the dresses and the romance was really, really great. So if you haven't watched it, go get it on Netflix. The other things that I've been watching is Bones on Hulu. I know it's an older show. I'd never seen it before. My daughter-in-law had suggested me watching it. So definitely got on that bandwagon. I'm on season 4. So I've been watching that every chance that I get. My husband and I watched all 5 seasons of The Rookie with Nathan Fillion. Really, we both really enjoyed that, and finding something that he and I both enjoy is pretty difficult. We have different tastes, so we don't often find things that we both like. So that was fun. We restarted, or we, my husband and I started rewatching The Vampire Diaries. I have watched it. My husband likes it, and he's watched it, but it's been a few years. He never finished it with me, so he wants to definitely finish it. So we've been rewatching that together. We just started, I think, the second season on that. And then reading, I did get done, or currently caught up with the Rachel Morgan series, which I talked about last time with Kim Harrison. And she has her new book coming out. I think it's this month or next month. It's soon. So the 17th installment of that series is coming out. I did finish reading The Indigo Girl by Natasha Boyd. There's a picture of it right there. Really good book. I really enjoyed it. It's about a girl. It's a historical fiction, so loosely based on a historical figure. Eliza Lucas is her name, and she is a 16-year-old girl in like 1730s America, South Carolina, and her father leaves her in charge of 3 plantations, her little sister and her mother. And it depicts her journey into making indigo and the process of growing the plants to make indigo, and how she did that over a few years, the man she ends up marrying, and she is the reason why the flag for South Carolina is indigo colored, and her contributions to the indigo industry in South Carolina at that time. And she does get married to a man. It's in the book. You can read about her. But the man she marries, she ends up having 4 children with. One of them is involved in the Constitution, and George Washington actually ended up being a pallbearer at her funeral. So it's kind of a really great story about a young girl that kind of is left in charge of a lot of things, and there's a little bit of romance in the fictional story. Probably in her own life, but probably less romantic than it shows in the fictional story. And I just really enjoyed it. So if you guys want to check that out, that's a good one. The book that I'm currently reading, I'm not sure I'm going to finish it, to be very honest with you. I'm listening to it on a program called Chirp. It's called The Soldier of the Great War by Mark Helprin. I just started it. I'm like 10% in. I'm not sure I'm going to finish it. It's not the best book in the whole world, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll get into it soon. But that's what I've been reading and watching lately. Yeah, and I don't really have anything therapeutic related other than to make sure you take care of yourself. If you do need help, obviously it may not be obvious, but there are some different options. Always check if you're an employee somewhere. Check if your company has an employee assistance program. Great way to get connected with a therapist, get some free sessions. Call 988, which is the National Mental Health Line. It's the new number. You can call or text. You can always call the insurance card, the number on your back of your insurance card. Psychology Today is a great way to get in with therapists. So just some options for you out there as far as that goes. And just be kind. And again, make sure to give yourself the same grace that you give everyone else. And if you have a chance to drop a picture into my inbox, I will definitely show it on the next podcast, and I hope it's not a month away again. Hopefully I'll be with you guys in a few weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.